13-year-old boy lost his mother. 6 months later, he found her old savings account password in a drawer. Over 2 years, he spent $15,000 on Robux. But when their father found out, he did something that changed their lives forever. Watch until the end. This story was shared by a young man who was 20 years old when he posted it. In his post, he used the name Eli for himself, and he asked readers not to judge the kid in the story too harshly until they had read the whole thing. He said he was not writing it to excuse what he had done. He was writing it because he had read 100 articles about kids spending their parents' money on video games, and none of them had ever asked the one question he thought mattered most: why? Eli was 13 when his mother got sick. She had been the kind of mother who made every morning feel normal even when nothing was. She packed his lunch, she wrote notes on napkins, she asked about his day before anyone else got to the table. She was the center of the small world he shared with her and his father. She was sick for a little over 7 months. The details of her illness are not part of this story. Eli never shared them online, and this video will not invent any. What matters is that she had time to know she was dying, and she spent that time making things easier for the 2 men she was leaving behind. She taught Eli how to do laundry. She showed him how to write a check. She made a list of things his father did not know how to do and taught them to Eli one at a time. When she passed, Eli was still 13. His father was 44. Neither of them knew how to function in a house that she was no longer in. Eli's father handled the grief the way a lot of men his age handle grief. He went back to work 2 weeks after the funeral. He stopped eating at the kitchen table. He started staying at the office later. He did not cry in front of his son. He thought he was being strong. He was not being strong. He was disappearing, and he did not know it. Eli handled it the opposite way. He got very, very quiet. He still did his homework, he still showed up to school, but something inside him went to a place nobody could see. The teachers noticed the change, but did not push. His friends gave him space. His father, who was working 12-hour days, noticed the least of anyone. And that was the house Eli lived in 6 months after his mother died. A quiet kid, in a quiet room, in a quiet house, where nobody was really home. It was on a Sunday afternoon, a little over 6 months after the funeral, that Eli found the password. His father had asked him to look for an old tax document in the filing cabinet in the study. Eli was not snooping. He was just doing what he had been asked to do. In the filing cabinet, behind a folder that had his mother's name on it, was a small spiral notebook. He took it out because it looked personal. He sat down on the floor of the study and opened it. Inside were pages of his mother's handwriting. Lists, notes, reminders she had written to herself. The kind of notebook a person keeps for their own brain, not meant for anyone else to read. On the 3rd page, she had written down the login and password to an old savings account she had kept separately from the joint family accounts. It was in her name only. She had opened it years ago, probably before she was married, and she had kept adding to it over the decades. The account had $15,000 in it. Eli did not know the account existed. His father did not know it existed either. It had slipped through the cracks of everything that happens when someone passes away. Eli sat on the floor of the study, looking at his mother's handwriting for a long time. He did not cry. He had stopped crying months ago because crying had not helped. Instead, he did something nobody, including him, would have predicted. He took a photograph of the page with his phone. He put the notebook back exactly where he had found it. He never told his father. And what he did 2 nights later with that password is the part of this story that is easy to judge and hard to understand, unless you have lived in a house where nobody is home. 2 nights later, in his bedroom at 11 at night, Eli logged into the bank website on his phone. He used his mother's login and password. He saw the account. He saw the balance. He did not touch it. He just looked at it. For the next hour, he scrolled through the transaction history, reading every deposit she had ever made, going back years and years. Small amounts, birthday money from grandparents, tax returns, random gifts. His mother had been saving this money for decades, probably for him, probably for college. That night, he did not spend anything. He only looked. But he also did something that changed everything. He did not close the account. He did not delete the photo. He did not tell his father. He kept the secret. And once something is a secret, it starts to belong to you in a way it did not belong to you before. The first time Eli spent any of the money, it was $49. He bought a Robux bundle. He told himself he would pay it back when he got older and had a job. He told himself this would be a one-time thing because he had been having a bad week. He told himself a lot of things that he did not believe but wanted to believe. Here's the part of the story that does not make sense if you have never lost someone. Robux did not make Eli happy. Spending the money did not make Eli happy. The pets he bought in Adopt Me did not make Eli happy. What happened was that when he was in a Roblox game, his brain did not have room to think about his mother. Every second he was playing, he was not remembering. Every dollar he spent was a tiny hit of a feeling that was not grief. It was not joy. It was just not grief. And for a kid whose whole inner life had become grief, the not grief was the closest thing to medicine he could find. He spent $200 the first month, $500 the second, $1,000 by the fourth. It escalated slowly, the way these things always do. He did not go on some wild spending spree. He spent small amounts often. A bundle here, a pet there, a gift for an online friend who did not know anything about him except the username on his screen. But Eli would tell interviewers later that the turning point was not a purchase. It was a game. He remembered the exact game, the exact server, the exact night. Because that night, something happened inside a Roblox roleplay server that would make Eli stop for the first time and wonder if what he was doing was not about money or games at all. It was about something he had not allowed himself to feel in almost a year. He had joined a Brookhaven server, just a normal roleplay server with kids playing family. He picked a family roleplay at random and ended up as the son of two other players pretending to be married. The person playing the mother was another kid, probably about his age, who was very good at the roleplay. She asked him if he had done his homework. She told him to wash his hands before dinner. She said goodnight and sent him a heart emoji when the session ended. Eli sat in front of his screen after that session and cried for the first time in 6 months. Not because the kid had been cruel, because she had been kind, in the specific way that his mother had been kind. And for a few minutes, in a game that was not real, he had felt like he had a mother again. Eli kept playing. He kept spending. 2 years passed. He was 15. The account that his mother had saved for decades was almost empty. He had spent about $15,000 in total, across hundreds of small transactions. He had mostly stopped caring about Robux by then. He had mostly stopped caring about anything. But the spending had become the pattern, and patterns that form around grief are the hardest patterns in the world to break. His father, meanwhile, had started to come back to life. He had started therapy. He had started cooking dinner again. He had started asking Eli about school. The two of them were still not close the way they used to be, but they were rebuilding something, slowly. One evening, his father sat Eli down and told him he was thinking of selling their house and buying something smaller, just the two of them, a fresh start. He said he was going to meet with a financial planner the next week. He looked happier than Eli had seen him look in a long time. Eli smiled and said that sounded great. Eli did not sleep that night. A week later, the financial planner pulled up a full picture of the family's finances. She asked Eli's father about an account that was in his late wife's name, an old savings account that had about $15,000 in it when she passed. His father said he had forgotten about that account entirely. He asked to see the current balance. What his father saw on that spreadsheet was not just an empty account. It was a story. Hundreds of small charges spread across 2 years, all going to the same company, Roblox. And the way his father pieced together what had happened, sitting in that office with his 15-year-old son beside him, was not the way any kid wants their parent to find out that they have done something unforgivable. But the next 48 hours in that house were not what anybody expected, because Eli's father did something that broke him and saved them at the same time. They drove home from the financial planner's office in complete silence. Eli waited for the yelling. It did not come. His father did not say a word on the drive. When they got home, his father sat down on the living room couch. He put his hands on his knees. He asked Eli one question. He did not ask how. He did not ask why. He did not ask how much. He asked if Eli missed his mother. Eli started to answer and could not. His father sat there with his hands still on his knees and waited. After a long time, Eli said yes. His father asked when was the last time he had talked about her out loud with anybody. Eli said he could not remember. His father said he could not remember either. And the two of them sat on that couch for 2 hours and talked about Eli's mother for the first time since the funeral. They did not talk about the money until the next morning. When they did, his father did not yell. He told Eli that what he had done was serious, that the money belonged to the family, that there would be consequences, and those consequences would take years to work through. But he also told Eli that he understood, that he had been spending 2 years buying his own version of Robux, that it had been called overtime, that he had been gone just as much as Eli had. And he told Eli something Eli had never heard anyone say out loud. He said that grief does not ask permission, it just takes. And when you are a kid and you have already lost the one person who knew how to help you carry it, nobody should be surprised when you make a deal with something smaller just to keep the weight from crushing you. Eli and his father started going to therapy together the following week. It became a weekly ritual that lasted for over 2 years. Eli got a part-time job and began paying back the money. His father did not take it from him. He put it into a new college fund in Eli's mother's name. When Eli turned 20, he used a part of that fund to enroll in a grief counseling program himself, so he could one day help other kids whose inner worlds had gone quiet. He wrote the post because he wanted other kids reading it to know that if they were spending money they should not be spending, or doing anything at all to stop themselves from feeling something too big, there was a name for what they were doing. It was coping. And coping was not bad. Coping was the sign that there was something hurting underneath. The problem was when the coping became the thing that was hurting you more than the pain had been. He also wrote the post for parents. He said that if any parent had lost a partner and had a kid at home, the single most important thing they could do was not cook the right dinner or say the right speech. It was to come home and be in the room. Actually in the room. Not just physically, but present. Because grief spreads in the quiet. And a quiet kid in a quiet house is rarely quiet inside. Eli said he would have traded every dollar he stole for a single evening in those 2 years where his father had sat down next to him and asked how he was doing. Eli and his father are okay now. They are more than okay. They survived what almost did not get survived. And he thinks about his mother every day, but he does not avoid the thinking anymore. He sits with it. He lets it be there. Here is my question for you. Have you ever used something small to outrun something big? What was it? And what happened when you finally stopped running? Drop your story in the comments. I will heart the ones that take courage. Hey, hi. If you've ever been in a situation like this, or if one of your friends has, share your story in the comments. Subscribe and like the post so you don't miss any new stories. See you in the next episode!